Good evening. I'm calling this meeting to order. The time is 5:31 p.m. In accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code, Chapter 551, this meeting is officially open with the quorum present. We will now move to our pledges and then the reading of our Fort ISD vision and mission statements, which will be led by our Eastern Hills High School JROTC cadets.
I pledge allegiance of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to the Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
The Fourth ISD mission is preparing all students for success in college, career, and community leadership.
The Fourth ISD vision is igniting in every child a passion for learning.
I will turn it over to Cesar Padilla for our first recognition.
Thank you, President Rodriguez. At this time, we invite the board to join us as we recognize this evening's greeters and take a group photo. President Dr. Rodriguez, Superintendent Dr. Ramsey, and members of the board. Tonight, we recognize our greeters from the Eastern Hills JROTC. These exceptional students embody the spirit of leadership, commitment, and community service that is at the heart of the JROTC program. Please join me in thanking Cadet Lieutenant Colonel Benes Wen, Cadet Major Samaya Green, Cadet Command Sergeant Major Delon Hughes, Cadet Second Lieutenant Anna Wen. The Eastern Hills JROTC is led by Sergeant Major Erica Jones. Thank you, students and staff, for joining us this evening. Let's give them a round of applause. Thank you, and this concludes our recognitions this evening.
Again, thank you for our cadets for being here this evening. Now I'll turn it over to Dr. Ramsey for the next recognition.
Thank you. As we're all aware, January is Board Appreciation Month, and to cap off this month's recognition and appreciation of our board, we thought we would talk to some of our youngest stakeholders and get their perspective on what being a board member is. Can we please show that video?
I would like to be a board member because
they have important meetings. They help build schools.
They help the school keep everyone safe, and they help the school make great choices.
they help the kids learn and everything and make it fun.
Drink coffee and just watch news.
Do you want to be a board member? Why not?
Because I have to spend day and night doing all this work.
My favorite part are the kids, the schools, the community all coming together.
We love our school board. How about you?
My favorite part at Fort Worth ISD, that's easy. It is definitely the kids.
What do you think a board member does?
I think he builds boards.
What do you think board members do when they're not working?
I like to exercise or I might Peloton every day. Most importantly, I love being with my family.
If you're a board member, can you have a family?
Because how are you going to be bored without a mom or a dad?
Is a school board a family?
Yes.
Tell me why that is. Why do you think they are?
Because they all are important people.
I'm a husband, have 5 kids, all of them in Fort Worth ISD. Outside of this and work, spend a lot of time with family.
My son really likes to play soccer. Every weekend, we out there in the fields having fun watching him.
Board members are cool. I love the school. I think they rule.
Do you think that board members listen to music?
I probably think they will listen to rap.
I think they would listen to K-pop.
My theme song right now is Texas by Big Extra Plug. Shout out to him for that. I'm also just now beginning to listen to October London, The Rebirth of Marvin.
Been traveling these wide roads.
Leon Bridges is one. He's one of my favorite singers. I don't know if it's the dad or actually I'm a fan, which I think I'm a fan too. That's my therapy. I can go on my back deck and sit down and listen to music.
If they could only play one instrument, what instrument do you think the board members would play?
I think they'll play the trumpet.
I was a trumpet and euphonium player and tuba player, but I had to learn how to do everything on top of that to be able to be a band director.
What do you think they like best about being a board member?
As being a good person.
So I would say you're never too young to have an impact.
Well, Maddie, what do you think? You want to be a board member? You've kind of got to hear what they do a little bit. Do you want to be one? Why not?
Because they don't get money.
How much money do you think a board member makes?
I don't know. 100?
I think the board member gets paid by hugs and kisses.
Thank you, board member!
We appreciate all the time and effort you put in, and thank you for your service.
Thank you all so much. I know my colleagues share my sentiments. It is an honor to serve the students and stakeholders of Fort Worth ISD. Okay, we'll move on to reports and presentations. Dr. Ramsey.
Thank you. I'm going to call Associate Superintendent Charlie Garcia up to the podium.
We're going to take you through our mid-year update on math and literacy supplementals. As a quick reminder, the supplemental resources we have discussed throughout the year are resources we feel impact student outcomes, and we are very grateful for the support the school board has given us to allow these resources to be implemented throughout our campuses. With that being said, today we also have an extension of our learning and leading team They will be able to answer any questions you may have at the end of the presentation. Today, we also have in attendance our Executive Director of Mathematics and Science, Diane Martinez, Executive Director of Humanities, Mary Jane Bowman, Associate Superintendent Melissa Kelly, and lastly, you'll soon hear one of our finest principals, Suzelle Berkmeyer, that will be actually presenting with me. Earlier this year, we shared with you the intent of Dreambox and Lexia Core 5, which is to provide reading and math supplemental resources for enrichment and intervention support, closing learning gaps for our students. These are not meant to replace core instruction, but provide an additional layer of support to ensure we are addressing any gaps in student learning. With that being said, as we move forward in the presentation, a reminder that our core Tier 1 instruction curriculum is supported directly by these supplemental resources that you have been able to provide us. We wanted to highlight the work and the implementation from the grassroots. And so I'm going to present to you Principal of Meadowbrook Elementary, Suzelle Berkmeyer.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Suzelle Berkmeyer, the proud principal of the A-rated campus, Meadowbrook Elementary. I am... Thank you for providing me the opportunity to be here and highlight my campus and some of the great things happening there. And to also share how Dreambox and Lexia help improve and enhance student outcomes. So if I can draw your attention to the first column that says personalizing instruction, there you will see one of my first grade teachers. She's pulling a small group of students. So this happens every day during intervention time. We have that embedded 30 minutes in our daily schedule. So you will see her pulling kids while the other kids are working on their individualized learning path. So you may be wondering, well, how does she know which kids she's pulling and where is she pulling these materials or resources from? Well, Lexia does a great job of providing everything that the teacher needs right then at her fingertips. So the teacher has a dashboard that she can monitor immediately, and it'll tell her which students are in need of immediate support. So right then and there, she can group her students, pull them, deliver the lesson while the other kids are working on their learning path. Delivers a lesson, toggles that, sends the kids back, the kids continue to engage and hopefully move forward. So looking at the second column, you will see, if you were to walk Meadowbrook tomorrow, you will see our campus plastered with data. We want our kids to know their data, to own their data. We want our students, our staff. So at the top of the column there, you will see how the grade levels track their data. The middle picture there, you will see how data is utilized in the classroom. So every classroom has a data board. Here you will see stars. So those stars indicate the students that have completed the usage requirements and have completed the amount of units required to earn that sticker. And then at the bottom, you will see how students track their individual data. So we go from campus and drill down all the way down to the student. So you may be wondering, how does a student know how many units they need to complete? How much time do they need to be on? Well, the student dashboard gives that information to them. They know how many minutes they've completed and how many minutes they need to meet their goal. Not only the minutes, but the amount of units. And that leads me to the last column, celebrating our wins. So at the beginning of this school year, when we were looking at our BOI data, 29% of our students, 28 to 29% of our students were reading at or above grade level. Well, today, I looked at the same data and we are at 59% of our students at or above grade level. So we doubled that. So we're very proud of the hard work that our students are putting in. Then you'll see Lexia Champions. We have 21 students that have completed the program. We have 86% of our students meeting usage requirements. And as far as Dreambox goes, we have 71% of our students completing 5 or more units per week, which equates to 1 grade level of growth. Amazing. So, of course, our goal is for 100% of our students to be at or above grade level. And if we continue on the pattern that we have gone so far, we will get there. And I know we will get there because all students matter at Meadowbrook Elementary. So as School Board Appreciation Month comes to an end. I want to express my deepest gratitude to the entire board and to Dr. Ramsey for your service to our district. Thank you for ensuring that our students are receiving a quality education. So on behalf of the Meadowbrook community, thank you. Now I'm going to pass it on back over to Mr. Garcia.
Great job, and you heard it right, 1 full year of growth. It is amazing. I'm going to take you through the next slides here, and then we'll be able to answer any questions towards the end of the presentation. What you see at a glance is our Dreambox data, which includes our K-5 students from August to January. As we look at this data, you can see a steady increase in growth when we look at the implementation of Dreambox at our campuses. When we look at data, and this data, we really look at the growth and how our kids develop in months over time. Hence, the key on the left-hand side of your slide. Every 0.1 equates to 1 month worth of growth. What that means is that that student is growing in that month exactly where they should be. By the end of the year, they should be at the full year's growth, which will indicate a full year of growth. As you see the steady incline from August to January, let's note the work that our principals and campus admin, along with our teachers and students and community, have done to ensure that the utilization of Dreambox and the implementation has created an opportunity for our students to grow. August 0.1 all the way to 0.8 in January. That is 8 months plus of growth from August to January as measured by our Dreambox supplemental. Excellent job, teachers and students. We are very excited because if we replicate or even exceed this growth in the spring semester, we can surely anticipate having even better results at the end of the year. When you look at literacy and the importance and relevance in our students' lives, it's never been more important for us to support the reading and literacy components to include the writing pieces. So this next slide indicates our Lexia Core 5 students that are at or above grade level from August to January of this year. You will see a steady increase. As a matter of fact, you will see a 29% increase in our K-5 students working at or above grade level, very similar to the presentation that was issued by our principals. What that really means is that we are continuing to utilize our resources to ensure that our kids are not only maximizing the Tier 1 instruction in the classroom that happens every single day, but that they're afforded the opportunities to have that practice and application in the form of a digital form. And so that would not be possible without the support of our school board and the support of providing our students with a digital device, but also with the support of allowing us to have the resources of these supplemental support systems that really help us attack those academic trends and at times the academic gaps that we may have. So if we can really say a celebration for our district as we look at this data, we believe in celebrating our victories, and together as champions for our kids, we certainly understand that there's more work that needs to be done. But when we reflect on what we've done this first semester, just with these two indicators, we can surely point that we're heading in the right direction, we're growing, and we're moving that academic needle. With that being said, we're here to answer any question you may have in regards to Lexia Core 5 or Dreambox.
Trustee Dar.
Thank you, President Rodriguez. This is very exciting data. Thank you, and I appreciate the energy that you bring to the podium, Ms. Birkmeyer, as well. Thank you, because that is an energy that builds a strong campus culture, which is where students want to learn and teachers want to teach and parents want to participate. So thank you. Just a couple questions. Will we be also getting some data at the end of the year? I love this middle of the year bookmark right now, but I mean, this is exciting because we know very well that we've got kids that need to make more than 1 year's worth of growth in order to start bridging some of those gaps so that they might become more successful on some of our standardized assessments. So we'll get some of this information also at the end of the year as well?
Absolutely. Yes, ma'am. We'll bookend the year, and as noted in the presentation, we anticipate having similar results or even better. And that would mean that our kids will be accelerating their academic growth. That's what we need here at Fort Worth ISD.
Absolutely. Yes, do students have access to this outside of the classroom? Can they access this at home? I would assume a reliable internet connection is required.
Absolutely. They can access outside the classroom. In many instances, it's encouraged because what we want to do is extend that learning so our students have every opportunity to ensure that they're learning even at home. Again, that could not have happened if our kids don't have those devices.
Well, this is true, and I'm sure that there are some principals doing some very creative problem solving as far as connectivity and devices are concerned. Will they have access to this over the summer by chance? Because you got to love the summer learning slide.
That's a great question, and we've been tackling that summer learning side for a couple of years or even more years now, and we surely understand that summertime period is an ample opportunity to ensure that our kids continue learning. So the answer is yes.
Okay, and then it's my last question, how are parents involved in this process? And it may actually be a question for Ms. Berkmeyer about, you mentioned, I love your campus data, your classroom data, and your individualized data. Students owning their own data is critically important. And not only are they owning their own data, they're working on important TEKs as they do these things as well. But how are parents involved in this process?
Okay, so not only do we have student-led conferences where our students lead their data and share that with their parents, but as you saw in the slide, after the teacher delivers that targeted instructional lesson based on the need of the student, there's what is called skill builders, which is an extension of what she just delivered. So the teacher can send that home for reinforcement, or she can use that as a lesson extension. We tend to use them for tutoring or to send them home so that they can still continue to engage.
And do the parents have access to it at that point?
It's a paper copy, so they don't necessarily
Okay.
have to do it on technology. It's Skill Builders. It's like a worksheet. It's very easy to follow, 5 to 10 minutes max.
Okay, well, when you're in elementary school, that's about right.
Exactly.
So, okay, thank you so much. I appreciate this presentation.
Trustee Lynch?
Principal Berkmeyer, thank you so much for sharing and appreciate your excitement. My curiosity was, you mentioned 59% of your students are at or above grade level. What are you using to measure that?
We are using Lexia.
Okay.
Correct.
And I don't know if this question is for you, but how does that line up with MAP? I know the first slide touched on 3 different pieces, but.
And I'll take a piece of it. So our Tier 1 instruction MAP we use 3 times a year. That is a test of not only skills, but also of content. And at the end of the year, the STAR test, the difference between, I would say, Lexia and the STAR test, even the reading STAR test is a content test, right? It's on the actual standards. This allows us to know what a student's reading level is. So that's how we're able to get the actual student reading level with Lexia.
Okay. And then as far as the MAP data goes?
So all of this is aligned. Okay. And February 13th already on the schedule. We knew that our middle of the year MAP window closes tomorrow, Tomorrow, that's right, tomorrow. And so when we scheduled the workshop dates with President Rodriguez in the summer, we slated the February 13th to discuss the middle of the year MAP data.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Trustee Bridges?
Thank you, Madam President, and thank you guys for the presentation. I have 2 questions. One, normally the data is broken down by subgroups. Is there a reason why it's not on this one?
Yes, sir. This is the overall district data. with the support of Dr. Ramsey, we can work on a future presentation and support to get that.
We're actually working on a written report to provide to the board with student groups.
Okay, I'm just a little confused. Help me out here, because, I mean, the numbers look great, and I am excited to see that movement, but I know there are a lot of people going to say, what does that look by those more challenging subgroups? And I would have thought that would have been in this presentation.
So, new data set, we are working on that, and we will provide that to the board.
Okay. Okay. Part two, I have a scenario. I'm just curious how you guys work it, because I hear it all the time. If you're in a classroom setting and you're a teacher by yourself, who may not have the fortune to have an assistant teacher, but you've got 30-something kids, and it's not unusual to have 15 of those kids who may be 2, 3, sometimes, depending on the grade, levels behind. How do you follow that curriculum and stay within the time frame to move those along who are not there?
Great question. As a matter of fact, I was in the classroom today, and I saw a teacher doing an excellent job of what you're just saying. Through the opportunity of our students being able to be pulled into small groups to work on those kids that have additional gaps in learning. Those students, the teacher was hands-on, working with those kids, building them up. Well, the students, they were already on task. They were already at the level that they needed to be. We're working on some of the digital supports. Now, the teacher had a laptop, and she was able to see what the other students were doing. So what we don't want is to get in a position where students are on the computer and not engaged, because those kids that are already meeting those standards for that teacher still need to get accelerated instruction. Well, to your point, we still have students that need that hands-on support. And so we have resources available to our teachers who do a phenomenal job of ensuring that they reach every student. And so that's a great question, but we continue building that efficacy in our teachers so that we can support all our kids.
Can you guys, would you please address the adaptability of these two programs that allows the personalization of learning in a supplemental? And I don't know if maybe from the site level?
Yes.
So at the beginning of the school year, students are given this level set. And so once they complete that level set, it's going to place the student where they need to be. And based on where they're placed, if they're 2 grade levels behind, then maybe those students may need 2 hours of intervention, as opposed to the kiddo that's 1 grade level behind that may only need 1 hour of intervention per week. So all students are engaging. Our goal is to grow all students at least 1 year, but some need more than 1 year. So we do that through targeted instruction during small group. That could be before and after school tutoring. That could be Saturday learning quests. That could be summer school. But if we continue to grow that more than 1 year, then that gap's going to close up, obviously.
Last question. Could you walk me through how you guys are explaining the maps to parents so they can understand? Kind of how, was it just a letter you sent out to them, say, oh, here's the maps, and how you walk through it?
No, we have data nights where our parents are invited into the building. That information is shared with them at that point. Kids will take their data binders, and the student knows exactly where they're at and where they need to be, what equates to grade level, and what kind of support we have planned for them. So the teacher will have that dialogue with the student, and the student owns it. So what are you going to do to get to grade level? I can help you, and these are the things that I'm going to do in the classroom. What are you going to do? And then parents, what are you going to do to support us? So it's a true community of learning.
So make sure I'm hearing what you say. So the students are showing the parents how the maps work?
The students understand their map data. So the students will know what their RIT score is and what it equates to as far as grade level. So the teachers have done a phenomenal job at the beginning of the year sharing that with the students. Parents are brought in. That information is shared with parents in our monthly meetings that we have. And then every time we test, which is 3 times a year, that's also sent home with an explanation of what it means. but we're always available to our parents. Go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. And I don't want to sound like Debbie Downer. Please help him. I understand where I'm coming from. Because I sat in a group of parents, and the whole conversation was out data, about understanding the data. There's probably 20 parents in there, and I don't think 3 of them, and I'm not trying to be funny, really. And most of them, and this was different schools, now, wasn't Eastern Hills now. And I'm asking you as a tool to say, hey, maybe you guys are doing something that's really working that we need to adopt to make sure that other parents are understanding that. You follow me?
Yes. We don't just look at it 3 times a year, though. So every time report cards come out, teachers are encouraged to have those parent conferences. So we're looking at that data. We're trying to triangulate all of our data. So this is what the student landed at the beginning of the year. After every unit assessment, this is where your student is. This is where we would like for your student to be at this time of year. You know, are you projected to pass STAR? Are you not projected to pass STAR based on all of the data, not just one data point? So we don't just look at MAP 3 times a year. So by middle of the year, our parents are familiar with MAP and what it means and where their child needs to be on grade level. I hope I answered your question.
That's fine.
Thank you.
Trustee Luevanos?
Thank you, Dr. Rodriguez. Thank you for this presentation. Great work at Meadowbrook Elementary. Thank you for all you do for our students. I have a question for ISD overall. What are we doing now? What will we continue to do to help the students close that gap? You know, we are at 55%. We should have a 45% deficit. What are we doing to make sure that those 45% we get at a grade level?
Sure. Great question. And it's a complex answer, but I'll note in this direction. We have progress monitoring for all our campuses. If you walk into any of our schools, you should see data walls up. What that leads to is conversations about students and how they are doing. From that data, we take the position of looking at our students that need additional support. Those students that need additional support are the emphasis on supplemental support, time on task for these supplementals that we're talking about here tonight is a priority. In addition to that, we believe in Tier 1 instruction, and when you get a teacher in front of a student in a small group setting to ensure that they're addressing the gaps in learning, that is really a gold standard that we want to look at. And so we provide opportunities throughout the school day. One of the opportunities is called Win Time, where we have at our elementary campuses a set time throughout the day, about 30 minutes. And what teachers do is they prioritize where those students need additional support and what standard, and they align the instruction to make sure that those students are receiving that additional support during that time period. In addition to that, there's an additional layer. We have opportunities for after-school support for our students. As noted earlier, I visited 6 of my schools in the last couple of days. All of them are offering that type of support for those students that really need to close that gap. And lastly, our Saturday schools where we're bringing in our kiddos. Similar to the after-school tutoring, we do provide opportunities for our students to extend the learning. So it's not just about Tier 1 instruction is where we want to get it right. But to your point, what are we doing for those kids that really have those gaps? We're identifying them early and often. And then we're setting up the right type of experience for that student to get the additional opportunities so they can close that gap. Great question, by the way.
Thank you. And how are we communicating with the parents? Like your student needs this Saturday
Yes, sir.
classes or extra help during the week.
So there's a couple of methodologies that we use on campuses, but In reality, as noted by the principal here, our teachers communicate with parents on how their children are doing. That is what they do. They're the bearers of that information because they're the experts that are working with that child. And so we expect our teachers to ensure that they, one, identify the kid, and two, communicate with the parent of how their children are doing. In conjunction with some of the support that we have on campuses, to include our family engagement specialists and other people that work with the campus, we educate those folks so that they can educate parents. You know, it goes without saying that if the parents understand where their children are at, they're more likely to support the charge. As always, any household has a different mindset on you know, their education of their kids. So we have to understand that we have to be very, you know, we have to have strong communication and really ensure that we are consistent with our messaging to those parents. Yes, sir. Great questions.
Trustee Martinez?
We've often heard that the fidelity of these programs plays a big role in the success. Where are we with ensuring that all our campuses are using these programs with fidelity, and where there are gaps? And what are we doing to support those campuses that are not seeing growth or utilizing with fidelity?
That's a great question, Ms. Martinez. That's the accountability piece that we've talked about. What we do on a consistent basis is we report out to our executive directors reports on how our campuses are doing as far as utilizing consistently the supplemental resources that we talked about here today. When they are not doing that, we simply communicate with the principal the expectations to do so, and a support system follows where we want to ensure that we are not only addressing the accountability piece, but also coaching support, which means that we have academic folks at the District Service Center that provide additional service to the campuses. One example would be, I'll go back to a visit that I had this week, is one of our schools needed additional support on the implementation of ensuring that while using a supplemental resource, they wanted to monitor the groups as I just mentioned earlier. Well, lo and behold, we had some of our content folks at the school supporting that principle. There's no other way to do it than to hold people accountable and look at the data and communicate that. That's been done consistently this whole year. That's why you see the implementation and really that steady growth in the usage. Moving forward, we will continue doing that and continue communicating with our campuses the expectations. And then really what we need to do is triangulate the data to ensure that we are cementing and anchoring the importance and the relevance of using the resources.
And how long have we, as a district, been utilizing these two, Dreambox and Lexia programs?
Lexia Core 5, this is our third year. Dreambox, we got a year and a half. So we started Dreambox late last year, and this is we're in a half a year now. So Dreambox is a little bit newer program or supplemental that we have. Lexia Core 5 has a little bit more history.
And I know we don't have the data here, but I know you said we can make it or have it available. From what you've seen, are the utilization rates and the outcomes similar across all student groups?
That's an interesting question, and I wouldn't want to give you a wrong answer on that one. But I will table that and get a response with Dr. Ramsey. I just don't want to answer something that is untruthful. No, ma'am.
Okay. Yeah, I'm interested. I want to know the utilization rates for each student group and the outcomes.
Noted.
So it sounds like, just from what I've heard, and from what my kids tell me, there's a number of different assessments. We have MAP, STAR, unit assessments. We have these supplemental resources. How do teachers balance all this with instruction? And what would you say to people that say we're over-testing our kids?
Yeah, that's a great question. If you go back and understand where we've been as a district and the notion that we can be data rich and execution poor can really set in. And so what we've been this year really concerned about is ensuring that we address instruction at Tier 1. which means the coaching to our principals, the coaching to our instructional coaches on how to walk into a classroom and understand how to utilize these data pieces in accordance to what the child needs. There's a balance of assessing our students because you have summative and formative assessments. The formative assessments are concurrently going because that's what gives you the quick turnaround when we react to a student not understanding. The quicker we do that, the more able our teachers are able to strategize together to work on a plan to ensure that they go back and reteach those kids. To your point, we also have benchmark tests where we have to take those benchmarks to ensure that we are anchoring the work globally to support our schools. Nothing replicates Tier 1 instruction. If we get that right, the data is gonna say we're getting, it's gonna execute that, right? It's gonna show that. So it's a work in progress that we have, but really having our professional learning communities work together to ensure that we're looking at data consistently and then internalizing it to be applicable to Tier 1 instruction. That's where it's at. When we hit Nirvana, we won't have to do as many interventions as we're having to do now, but we certainly understand that we're going to do them because our kids have those gaps in learning. We understand that.
I think some of my colleagues have already asked some questions. I think one more, and we've asked about how parents receive the information. As a parent myself, I walk through campuses. When I visit campuses, I hear kids yelling out their levels. They know their levels that they are, and they sometimes brag to me on a career day about what level they are. And I see the information on the wall. But as a parent, I'm in and out of my kid's campus so quickly. I don't always have time to digest it. I think this is more just a comment. Like, we really have to do a better job of communicating with parents what all these assessments mean and how they correlate and align. Because I have a college degree, I understand data, but all of these different assessments that we have, like what do they really mean, and where are children, what they're really achieving and what their outcomes are. So I think, I appreciate the data walls and the data nights. I've attended those. Is great information, but there's a lot of busy working parents out there that still need that information broken down very easy to understand where their child is.
Noted and agree.
Trustee Jackson.
Thank you, President Rodriguez. This will be somewhat redundant. I just want to ask first, every school utilizes Dreambox, correct?
Every one of our schools, besides our specialty schools, if we have any of the land schools, they do their own. But yes, all our traditional elementary schools, yes, ma'am.
That's awesome, and that's consistency.
Yes, ma'am.
I love that. Parent and guardian compliance, how are we objectively determining that parents and guardians are having those follow-up conversations on every campus? I know what happens on Principal Berkmeyer's campus because I hear about it in the grocery store. And it's a good thing.
Yeah.
But how do you do that system-wide? Because we're in every school.
Yes, ma'am. Great question. I think building a bridge between the school and community through the principal, I think is really, it's where you find that gold nugget. When you have a principal at a campus, like a principal that spoke today, that understands how to communicate with their parents and get the commitment from them. And what that means, that commitment doesn't simply mean buy-in, but it really means trust, understanding, right? Sense making. Then you can really get that community involved, very similar to working in tangent together. Our obligation as a learning and leading team is to provide the resources, the support to our principals, the coaching to get that done. To ensure that at all campus, to your point, our principals are able to have a system in place to educate our parents on what it takes, what these assessments mean. And so I can go on and talk about some of the strategies we use, but I will tell you that our principals understand that charge, and we're going to help them moving forward to ensure that they're maximizing that.
And just to chime in, I think it also has to do with listening, right? Having those parent advisories. Dr. Molinar and I have wonderful conversations with Parent Shield, and they've given us feedback. They're like, the vendor you use versus another school district, it isn't as clear. And so it allows us to then go back and make course corrections and continue to strive to get better. So I think a part of that is very important, not making assumptions and actually asking parents, learning what they need, and then coming back and making those changes.
Thank you. I have another question, and this is with regard to Dreambox. 8 months plus of growth, which is great. Is this positively skewed data? Is it negatively skewed data? Do we have a cluster of kids that are driving this up? It'd be real helpful to see the number on here, unless that's not applicable, and you know more about that than I do.
Great question. That data is encompassing all our kids. So to your point, additional digging into that data. And
yes, but we can provide by student group, and then we can look at, are there particular student groups? And sometimes the challenge with new data set is working on those pieces. Like, do we need to do analysis on our free reduced lunch students versus non-free reduced lunch, all of our student groups, by pyramid, by learning network. And so we will be providing that to the board. Just gives a little bit of time to dice that all up.
I certainly wanted to ask the question because sometimes it's not helpful. Sometimes the clump is helpful, and dissecting it too far is not helpful. I wanted to say something about Principal Suzelle Bergmeyer, if I could. If I could. She is an amazing principal, and her outcomes are driven because of her skill set. And what impresses me the most when I walk through her campus is she knows every kid, she knows every teacher. Her campus is quiet, yet it has just enough noise because people are learning. And so I just want to ask, if she has a very difficult campus. She has a lot of the homeless sector in her campus. She has a lot of kids that come to her with high mobility, meaning they move from school to school. But for some reason, once they get to her school, they stay. So can we just give her a round of applause, please?
Thank you, Ms. Jackson.
And I moved, so you can't come get me later tonight and be angry with me. Thank you for what you do.
Thank you.
Trustee Dar?
Thank you. Just one more question. Can you please explain what it means to be triangulating data?
Say that again. I'm sorry. I missed that part.
Can you explain what it means to triangulate data?
Okay, that is looking at multiple sets of data to see how they relate to each other. So in a sense, when we look at the supplemental data, looking at our kids that are utilizing the program effectively, efficiently to how we want them to do, does that equate to how they're going to be doing, for example, on MAP middle of the year growth, right? So we can see this subset of students achieved in our Dream Box, for example, and they were ideal in utilization. If they're growing in MAP growth, you see that connection. And then that's why we have our assessment pieces to look at. And that gives us a lot of indication and if you know how it works, if it's working. And so we think it is working. You know, we'll look at the data, that middle of the year MAP growth data pretty soon here to tell us. Mm-hmm.
Trustee Lynch?
Yes, just one quick question. We spent a lot of time talking about Tier 1 instruction, and I don't mean to dumb this down, and I appreciate teachers and everything, their gifts and hard work, but how do we measure the effectiveness of Tier 1 instruction?
Yeah, you have, throughout a given day or week, you have formative assessments, which means that our teachers are able to identify if what they taught that day or that week through a small assessment that's embedded in the instruction is working. Right? All has to be standards based. And so if the teachers are teaching the standards throughout the week, and they're having those formative assessments to lean into, the results being that the kids are understanding it, then you know it's working. Eventually, what you will do is we'll have these tests that we give, all the assessments, that will validate that work for us as well.
All right, thank you.
Yes, sir. All right.
All right, thank you for the presentation. I just have a quick question on the students approaching data. Is there a way for us to identify where those students came from? Like if they've been in our system since pre-K, if they're new to our school district or new to our state? Is there a way to get that data so we can kind of group them into, they may need a little more help because they got to us 3 years behind?
Absolutely. We can do that, and that's a great point, President Rodriguez, and so it's noted, and yes, we can.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, Dr. Ramsey and team. We're now up to board committee.
I'm sorry, because sometimes I tend to forget some things. Is there a timetable? Because the question she asked I thought was really, really great as far as when we could get that.
So it depends on what data sets that we're talking about. If we're talking about what President Rodriguez asked for, we can turn that around at our next educational committee, so that we can look at our kids' historical contests in our district. So we would be looking at, as requested, our students that are new to our district and really looking at how they are doing in comparison to students that have been here longer.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, Dr. Ramsey and team. We're now up to the board committee and superintendent reports. Are there any comments or questions from any of the trustees concerning the written reports? Okay. At this time, we will hear public comment addressing items on the agenda as well as items of a general nature or topics not specifically listed on the agenda. Let me remind you that because of restrictions by the Texas Open Meetings Act, board members may not engage in a verbal exchange about a subject that has not been posted. We will listen and take notes, but the board is prohibited from responding to any inquiries made during a board meeting on any topic not posted on the agenda. However, the board may reply with 1, a statement of specific factual information given in response to the inquiry, 2, recitation of existing policy in response to the inquiry, or 3, direct a person to visit with staff about the issue. No presentation may exceed 3 minutes unless the speaker has prior approval for additional time because of the use of a translator. Speakers who require the assistance of a translator are permitted double the allotted time of speakers who do not require the assistance of a translator. Speakers, when your name is called, approach the podium by going around the back of the room, down the stairs, and up the side wall on your right. As soon as the speaker begins speaking, the time clock will begin. Our first speaker is Juliet George.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me? The handout tells more than time permits me to background. Greetings, I'm Juliet George from the historic Hillcrest neighborhood with a lifelong association with W.C. Stripling School, teacher's child, alumna, neighbor, and historian. I want to say a quick thank you, but not let it take up all my time. Thanks to Dr. Amanda Coleman, Cynthia Calderon, Christian Alvarado for their guidance with registration, to Mike Naughton for granting an interview, and for his interest in history and support of your archives. And thanks to archivists Lena Reeser and Donna Woodson for so much help with research. Very special thanks to Dale Edwin Revercombe and his wife Vicki Revercombe for family history and insight for my project and for their presence here tonight. And also for Brent Rowan Hyder and his foundation for which I work, but I did this on my own time. Topic, a wall at Stripling Middle School. a nearly 90-year-old polychrome Palo Pinto sandstone retaining wall at the landmark school and campus of W.C. Stripling, originally a high school, will soon be demolished. The rustic wall signifies much. Doubly historic stones from ancient formations in our region, Great Depression and New Deal history, because it was built by unemployed, skilled and unskilled laborers who regained their dignity and earned wages through federal and state work relief programs in the 30s. Direct links to the design and stonemasonry of our municipal rose garden in the Botanic Garden, and to features and structures at other public schools and public parks. A plaque commemorating the brief life of student Dale Benjamin Revercombe Jr., a stripling athlete to whom the entire athletic field was dedicated in 1935. A cautionary tale about neglected wounds. Dale Jr. sustained a scratch during a football practice in 1933. The resulting staph infection killed him within 5 months. The tragedy of an immigrant mother losing her first child. Unlike many modern stone walls, this one still stands up straight. An architect's design has converted the wall into an obstacle to be removed. Learning too late that the demolition was approved at the city level, Historic Preservation and Landmarks Commission.
Time.
Yes? Sorry. What?
Ma'am, it's time. Thank you. Dale Revercombe, followed by Janelle Davis and Trinace Dorsey Hollins.
Happy Board Appreciation Month. My name is Janelle Davis, and I'm the Executive Public Affairs Director over at BNSF Railway for Texas and Oklahoma. In that capacity, given our company's commitment to the community and education, I also serve on the Mayor's Council for Education and Workforce. At BNSF, we are very appreciative of Fort Worth ISD and the relationship that we've built with Fort Worth ISD. And we know that many of the bright students who graduate from the district will ultimately be leaders at our company someday. We also understand that for young people to be successful and fulfilled in the long term, not only do they have to do well academically, but they have to know what sorts of opportunities exist and are available to them. That said, the ways that we connect with Fort Worth ISD, students and schools are numerous, and we appreciate the district for being in support of various initiatives to expose students to our company and to STEM. An example of this is through our participation in the upcoming Technology Awareness Day, which we host at BNSF annually. This year's event is taking place on February 24th from 8:30 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. for high school students. And so we have a keynote speaker, a college fair, interactive activities for the students, as well as vendors such as IBM and Microsoft to really get students excited about STEM, excited about our company and whatever they may want to do in STEM in terms of education and their career, and also to uplift and encourage the students that they can do whatever they set their mind to. So Fort Worth ISD has graciously agreed to send several high schools to participate in our event this year. So we're really excited about that. So we really just want to say thank you to the board for continuing to support experiences that will allow students to explore fields that are available to them here in Fort Worth. It's also my understanding that over 500 students are in various forms of work-based learning experiences outside of the classroom, which we think is absolutely fantastic. So thank you for supporting that. And it really is evident that Fort Worth ISD is committed to working with the business community so that we can educate our students of today for opportunities for tomorrow. So I will close by saying that the Mayor's Council is extremely committed to supporting the work that you all do with the district, and we look forward to working with you all for years to come. Thank you.
Thank you. Trinace Dorsey Hollins, followed by Sabrina Ball and Celeste Holbrook.
Hello. Well, I'm here to speak just because we want to ensure that our students are being prepared for life beyond just the walls of the classroom. And we want to ensure that parents have accurate, easy to digest, consistent information about their child's progress or lack thereof. I really would appreciate the disaggregated data as well as Trustee Wallace and Trustee Roxanne asked for. That's important to us as well. And then kudos to Meadowbrook Elementary, and how can we find how we can get all of the schools in Fort Worth ISD to mirror those efforts. With that being said, right now, both of these things need to be on the top of Fort Worth ISD's priority. Recently, we had the opportunity to meet with nearly all of the elected trustees. We had some great conversations. We're thankful for those of you that took the time to actually connect with us and allow us more than just 3 minutes to stand up and address our concerns that we're hearing from our parents as well. So thank you guys for that. But right now, we just really want to focus on the new goals that need to be developed to ensure that our community values are considered in the outcomes to improve student achievements. Like, our voices need to be heard when those goals are being written. So looking forward to sitting in on those meetings and having our parents being a part of those meetings too. As for parents to act, we need that data. We need to know. You all have agreed that the portal needs to be updated. Like, in order for us to act, we need that information for our babies. So just give us the resources and we can do so. And then again, just looking over the information, knowing that over 7,000 AP exams were taken in the spring of last year, but only 1,200 passed, where our kids were actually able to get college credits for, that's a little disheartening. So just finding ways to making sure, again, we're preparing our kids for success. And then we need to ensure that parents have access to know that those classes are available and what it means for their kids to be enrolled in gifted and talented and advanced placement and on-ramps. I didn't even know what that was. And on-ramps classes and dual credit classes. So thank you for the information that we received from the trustees that we met with. But again, getting this information out to the community is what's really going to help our kids. So thank you.
Sabrina Ball, followed by Celeste Holbrook and Holly Plemons.
Hi, good evening. Thank you for your service. We know it's a lot. Before you is a letter that Dr. Ramsey received yesterday from our partners at Children's Defense Fund. This is supported by Defense of Democracy, IDRA, the ACLU, PEN America, Every Library, the Resource Center, TSTA, NEA, Texas Freedom to Read Project, and students engaged in advancing Texas. It outlines your responsibility to students in response to the Fifth Circuit's ruling on HB 900. On top is a QR code that will take you to resources we gave the district in a meeting before the break. You'll find rulings and guidance on HB 900 that should help you determine that your internal review of books was premature and outside of Fort Worth ISD policy. To be clear, Library Services is conducting a review of books that is not governed by policy and was initiated by non-stakeholders. It should end today, and books should be returned to shelves. You're not serving students by continuing this unconstitutional review, and any reference to HB 900 should be removed from the book selection policy. In the words of Judge Albright, besides the profound vagueness of HB 900's text and the impossible challenge that text poses for booksellers, it is equally impossible to understand or predict how the statute would actually be implemented and enforced by the state. Indeed, the state failed to answer fundamental questions about HB 900 mere days before the law was set to take effect. The August 18th hearing contained approximately 40 instances in which the state either did not know how the law would function or did not have an answer as to the effects of certain provisions. That said, HB 900 misses the mark on obscenity with a web of unconstitutionally vague requirements. The letter also outlines how you could approach selection standards as a result of the ruling according to TSLAC and the SBOE. We have provided the district with a comprehensive standard for book selection and reconsideration and are currently working to provide stronger policies specific to Fort Worth ISD. We will continue to provide research that shows how freedom to read leads students to higher reading scores, deeper engagement in school, reduced propensity for risky behavior, and stronger connections with classmates and family. We, as Fort Worth ISD parents, look forward to working with you. Thank you.
Celeste Holbrook, followed by Holly Plemons and Amy Super.
I'm Dr. Celeste Holbrook. I have a PhD in health education and have spent the last 13 years teaching, developing, and evaluating sex ed curriculum along with my private practice here in Fort Worth. I have 2 kids at WLI, and I am a curriculum nerd. I spent about 4 hours today happily digging into the curriculum for Choosing the Best, which is what SHAC has recommended to you, which will be an extra $70K a year, as well as the curriculum for HealthSmart ETR, which is what we already own, we already paid for, and comparing how they are the same, how they are different. Because both curriculums use the TEKS for developing content areas, the content is actually almost identical. Content in both include being abstinence-centered, navigating relationships, understanding boundaries, defining and preventing sexual assault, etc. The difference, however, is in the teaching methodologies. HealthSmart is developed on the Danielson framework for teaching, an effective and well-documented framework that highlights creating an environment for respect and rapport by doing things like meeting students where they are and using positive norms to encourage them and encourage their healthy behaviors. The program is student-centered, trauma-informed, and has appropriate scaffolding of the content. The Choosing the Best curriculum is based on the social cognitive theory, one I actually very much like, but it is while it is an effective framework, it's not executed flawlessly. In social cognitive theory, the idea is that behavior change happens in the context of social and environmental and behavioral spaces. Unfortunately, this curriculum falls short in being trauma-informed, social, and utilizes outdated sex ed language like STD. We outdated that in 2013. We use STI now. When I spoke with the 2 members on SHAC last night about what they don't like about HealthSmart, they indicated that the 2 points that doesn't meet that they don't like are the 22E in TEKS, which is the fetal development section, and that is not in HealthSmart. They're correct. But I think that a better solution is to supplement that TEK instead of buying a whole new curriculum for $70K that is worse and less effective with a less effective teaching methodology. HealthSmart teaches the same content areas, takes a judgment-free approach to abstinence, and does not use superlatives like best to describe sexual behaviors. Can you imagine the added shame and embarrassment a student might feel when she hears the term best to describe abstinence, but she's already had sex, or even worse, has been sexually assaulted? Why would we choose to pay for an additional curriculum at $70K a year that teaches the same content in a worse, less effective way? And I think you all are amazing. Thank you.
Holly Plemons, followed by Amy Super, and is Dale Rivercombe here? Okay.
Holly Plemons, mom of 3, taxpayer in Fort Worth ISD. I want to talk about 10C1C, the charter buses. Good questions by Dr. Ryan and Ann Dar. Unfortunately, Trustee Dar's questions were not answered. You asked good questions. In 2022 at Arlington Heights, the band and cheer all got charter buses and the football boys did not. They went to Abilene and then they had to play a game. They were exhausted. They were sweating. There was no air conditioning on the bus. So I would like to see you guys follow up with what Trustee Dar said in asking those questions of who's going to get to go. Because whenever there's 3 groups of kids going and 2 charter buses show up, they're going to harass and bully and make fun of the kids that don't get to go on the charter bus. 10D3A, $96,000 to Pearson. This is more ed tech for gifted and talented. This is data mining. Instead of the teachers just writing stuff down on paper about the kids and leaving the teachers to make this decision, they're asking you to pay $96,000 for another ed tech program to do that. And I think it's another way of not respecting teachers in doing this. And this could be dangerous because some of the information that a parent might
apply their child for gifted and talented, and a teacher says something negative, that's going to go into the digital file, and that's attached to their PII, their personal identifiable information. 10D3B, the Camp to National Hispanic Institute. Are all children welcome in Fort Worth ISD, or is it only Hispanic children? In the contract, it says that, let's see, on page 1 of the MOU B2, it says it's up to the district to decide who gets to go. For me, $35,000 to send 40 kids to camp without having any data showing that there is improved outcomes in spending that, I think it's wasteful. 10D3C, Hope Squad. This requires surveys. This is data mining. I saw where it says that there's going to be parental permission, but if you talk to an elementary school and you're asking them to recommend people to be on Hope Squad, that means you've just told everybody in the room what Hope Squad is about, and talking to other people's elementary age children about suicide and depression. My son is 10 years old. That's a heavy topic, and he doesn't know about it. I am monitoring him. He is fine. I don't lose my right to my child, and other people don't lose their rights to their child of what they want to talk about because other people's children are having problems. I'm sorry that they're having problems, but I think this is completely inappropriate for elementary school. Thank you.
Amy Super, followed by Dale Rivercom.
First of all, I'd like to acknowledge that I have at least one thing in common with every trustee that's up here. I'm a volunteer. I'm not paid either. There are two people on the dais that I know don't fall into that category, and they are part of our administrative staff, and they are well compensated. Part of their responsibility is to provide you with an agenda that is thorough. And by thorough, I mean accurate and with all of the backup documentation that you need to make the correct decision. There's not been a single board meeting that I've been to where I've read an agenda that didn't have at least one egregious error in it, usually more than one, but I have limited time, so I have to pick and choose. Tonight we're going to go over one that you tabled in September of 2023. You've given it a new topic name, and when I say you, I'm referring to the district administration, not the board, because you don't write these agendas. This would be consent agenda item D, C3, which I believe is something that Ms. Plemons just spoke to. I don't have a problem with a suicide prevention program. Of course not. No one in their right mind would. It's a horrifying thing to think about children struggling with suicide. What I do have is a program whose focus is peer-to-peer prevention. Last time you brought this before us, you asked for it to be in, I believe it was 6 elementary schools. Now you're asking for it to be in 14 schools. 5, I believe, are elementary, 4 middle school, I think 5 high schools. So increasing the number of schools it's going to be in. The elementary and middle schools, that bothers me the most because this isn't just a suicide prevention program. I went to their website. It also includes bully prevention. It also includes substance abuse, mental health. Help me understand how the children who didn't get voted to be on this special little group by their peers based on their trustworthiness as ascertained by children are going to feel when they're not chosen to be one of these special kids who gets to then take on the role of trying to identify their peers who might possibly have suicidal thoughts. What's going to happen? God forbid what is going to happen to a child who serves on this squad if one of their friends actually attempts suicide, is successful at it, and they, at 12 years old, they didn't recognize it, and they weren't able to report it the way they were trained by this program to report. Please do not place children in a role that adults with doctoral degrees, with years of experience, struggle every time they lose a patient. It's the same thing. So I'm asking you, hold them accountable to providing you with all the information. The contract's the same one you got in September. I hope you read it. As Ms. Plemons mentioned, there are surveys that are required. And I don't think that's just for kids who are participating. I think everyone is supposed to do the data, so you might want to look at that too. No kids as counselors for suicide prevention or any other mental health stuff. Thank you.
Our final speaker, Dale Revercom.
Thank you. I'll pick up where Mrs. George left off just a few minutes ago, talking about the stone wall at Stripling Middle School. Unlike many modern stone walls, it is still standing up straight. The wall has a plaque on it which is dedicating the field to my uncle, Dale B. Revercombe. An architect's design has converted the wall into an obstacle to be removed. That's current day. Learning too late that demolition was approved without even being discussed by the city's Preservation Staff and Landmarks Commission, I, meaning Mrs. George, resolved to write about it, to find a stone reclaimer to professionally remove the stones, and to find a meaningful new home for them. Months were spent on an end-stage scramble to, at least, prevent the damaging and trashing of historic materials. Finding and bringing together a reclaimer, an enlightened park administrator, a preservationist, and an institution that might or might not allow careful dismantling of stones finally worked. In that process, one important channel of communication closed because an unnamed contractor was involved. Other channels seemed to close, and it may be that some other officials failed to notice or chose to disregard emails. But thanks to Nate Moser, owner's representative for Procipio, for calling this morning after a long time in the dark with only a forwarded email. Every organization has its protocols, but it seems wrong to ignore and exclude from the loop the very individual who is researching and writing an ongoing and detailed story, Mrs. George, requesting basic information, pursuing due diligence, and working to find a way to salvage materials endangered by demolition plans. I hope the next architect does not come after the massive sandstone terrace at North Highmount Elementary School or other New Deal creations at our other schools. This is how we lose our built heritage. Next time, please don't allow a situation in which all the keepers of history can do is ask permission to carry away the stones. Thank you all.
Thank you for sharing your thoughts this evening. We're up to comments by the board members and the superintendent. Are there any comments from trustees? Trustee Martinez?
This weekend, the UIL Region 5 Mariachi Festival was hosted at Northside High School. Fourth ISD had 7 groups participate, and I want to give proud congratulations to the following Fourth ISD Mariachi groups that advanced to the state competition next month. They are Carter Riverside High School, Northside High School, Pasco High School, and South Hills High School. So congratulations to those students. Groups on advancing, good luck at state, and also thanks to our Visual and Performing Arts Department, Mr. Nino, and all others that were involved in hosting the Mariachi Festival this weekend. I had a chance to attend a portion of it and really enjoyed hearing our talented students. So congratulations to those 4 groups.
Trustee Bridges?
Thank you, Madam President. I just want to take the time to thank all the schools that took the time out to do the special recognitions for the board members. It was very humbling between the cards and the poster boards and the breakfasts. I really appreciate it. It makes me feel really well about the work that we do. More importantly, it adds that big fat check I get at the end of the month too. It's a joke anyway. Thank you.
Trustee Dar?
Thank you. Just a quick congratulations to the Pascal and the Arlington Heights cheerleading squads who performed exceptionally well at nationals. I hope I'm not stealing your thunder, Trustee Lynch, but I know that the Arlington Heights cheerleading squad came away with a national championship. That is remarkable. Pascal High School was 5th in the nation, and there were other various recognitions that were made as well at different levels, whether it's varsity, JV, or freshman. And this is This is truly a sport. Being a cheerleader is an athletic event. It is hard work. They worked very hard for that. I commend them and I commend their coaches. Their parents are often very heavily involved in this process, so congratulations to these groups for their national recognition and for representing Fort Worth ISD so well. They make us very proud. Thank you.
Trustee Lynch.
Yeah, I just wanted to recognize the Eastern Hills High School basketball team, ranked #1 in the state, 4A, and I also wanted to thank Officer Tracy Carter for everything he's done and everybody else that supported and got those kids new shoes and things that they should have to work hard and learn life lessons. So thanks.
Trustee Jackson.
Thank you, President Rodriguez. Wanted to mention Gene McClung Middle School, as Trustee Phillips isn't here. They played a hard-fought game last night. They only have 6 kids playing. 2 of them, well, 3 of them fouled out. Emmanuel, is that right? They only had 3 on the court, and they held the score, and they won the game, and that's grit, and that's being tough. So I just want to say Kim Mulkey's got 3 players over at G. McClung. We better get her coming over, checking them out.
Dr. Ramsey?
Just quickly, a thank you in advance. Our trustees have begun to sign up for community sessions that will start in February at each pyramid as we go out and receive stakeholder feedback on what the strategic actions should be for our strategic plan. And so those meetings will be held in every pyramid in February and in March. And the trustees have volunteered. They're going out in pairs. And I just want to say thank you for that. Thank you for listening to our stakeholders. Because at the end of the day, it needs to be our strategic plan. And we can't do that without all of the feedback we're going to be receiving. And we'll be communicating that information. We'll be talking to our principals to put it in their weekly communication, as well as our channels like the Friday message.
Thank you, Dr. Ramsey. And I also want to mention one of our esports players, Daniel Loyola, representing Northside High School. He went to he went to state, but he fell. He finished in the quarterfinals, so he is in the top 8 in the state, and we are very proud of him. Daniel Loyola representing Northside High School and the esports team. Thank you. And the time is now 6:53. The date is Tuesday, January 30th, 2024. We will now recess and reconvene for executive session as authorized by Chapter 551 of the Texas Government Code under Sections 551.071, 072, 074, and 076.
first will be today with the design. I'm going to give you a chance to, really think through all the ways that you love to play, where you enjoy playing, who you enjoy playing with, and then I'm going to have you draw out all of those ideas and let me know exactly what you would like that experience to be.
They actually drew pictures and designed it.
It changes colors when you spin it.
We're going to be building this new playground on November 13 all the way through November 15.
No, make 100, make 100.
I'm going to take all of those ideas, put it together, and we're going to then create your new playground. We have 5 more minutes, and then we're going to go ahead and present our ideas.
My idea was like a submarine, and in the submarine would be like a kitchen. This is a rock wall that you have to climb. Airplane.
These designs are going to be incorporated into the playground for sure, so we are 100% taking all of your ideas.
I welcome you to the winter graduation ceremony for the Success High School students.
You will get your cap and gown.
She looks beautiful. I want to cry.
Who's all here for you?
Pretty much everyone, a lot of aunts and uncles, my grandparents, my mom, my dad.
It wasn't traditional, right?
No,
a little
it wasn't.
different. What was different about it?
It was online. Everything was online. I'm ready to graduate.
Thank you for joining us this evening and for taking the time to share in our celebration of these amazing students that you see before us and their fantastic accomplishments.
Despite how challenging some assignments were for me, I chose to keep going for my daughter. Due to the Graduation Alliance, I was able to get back on my feet.
These are the students that really are dedicated. They had some bumps in the road, but they stayed focused and they continued and they graduated from high school.
He's gonna graduate.
It means a lot.
Once he started, seeing that he could really do it on his own, he took off with it.
I bet he's gonna get emotional.
David, Mayo.
Whatever your dreams are, you know that you didn't give up, that you actually worked harder for it, that you had more obstacles in your way, and therefore tonight's accomplishment means more.
This is joy encapsulated in all these faces and smiles and the parents who are so excited to see their kids graduate.
This experience has taught me the most important thing that I think everyone should know. Sometimes the impossible can be made possible with the right amount of support.
This is truly going to change the trajectory of their lives, and they're going to be able to have more opportunities just by participating through Graduation Alliance to get their diploma from Fort Worth.
It is my pleasure to certify that these Success High School seniors are hereby declared Success High School graduates. Congratulations.
I made him happy.
We are so excited. We are doing Kids Heart Challenge, aka Jump Rope for Heart, and we are challenging students across the nation to learn, practice, and adopt heart-healthy behaviors.
He is a heart warrior. He's had 3 open heart surgeries since he was born.
His heart is very, very special because his heart is upside down in his body. Coach Ramirez, who just did his superhero cape, he told the family all about our local Youth Heart Ambassador program. So mom, Nadia, she applied for him and he was selected, and we are thrilled because he now attends Cesar Chavez Elementary, where his dad is a custodian here, and his dad also has a special heart. So it is a very special moment to celebrate both Ramon Jr. and Ramon Sr. today. We are giving them the knowledge and the experience to be able to have a fun way to talk about heart-healthy behaviors, because we just get one heart and we want to make sure that we keep it healthy. Good job, Ramon. Give it up for Ramon one more time.
Fort Worth ISD's Gold Seal programs and schools of choice offer families and students the power of choice, now more than ever, to go beyond the basic and beyond the traditional, to find the pathway that's a match to a student's interests, goals, and learning style. And just look at the programs and schools to choose from. You've got goals and dreams for the future. We've got a high school experience to match. Fort Worth ISD Gold Seal programs of choice are built for dreamers like you, the problem solvers, the curious minds, the creators of art and ideas. Gold Seal programs deliver expert guidance, hands-on learning, certifications, college credits, and community partners to support your learning. A great example are collegiate academies offered at several neighborhood high school campuses. Students earn enough college credits for an associate degree, tuition-free. And at P-Tech Collegiate Academies, students visit job sites, build relationships, and develop workplace skills and knowledge. Our community partners enrich every Gold Seal program to open doors to careers and to put you ahead of the herd. There's a Gold Seal pathway to fit your interest. Whether it's making machines run better and fly higher, or improving health and housing. Whether it's serving on the front lines or protecting citizens online. Bring your biggest dreams and determination here where you belong in a Fort Worth ISD program of choice. Your choice. The atmosphere is electric at Fort Worth ISD Gold Seal Schools of Choice. These smaller, well-focused learning communities prepare students for college and careers in the most innovative ways.
This combines art and math.
Early college high schools merge high school, college, and careers. Students go to school on Tarrant County college campuses and can earn an associate's degree, tuition-free. Marine Creek Collegiate High School focuses on high academic achievement and skills for success. The Texas Academy of Biomedical Sciences is a hub of health science studies with hands-on laboratory learning supported by medical industry partners. TCC South Fort Worth ISD Collegiate High takes industry partnerships to a new level. Partners such as Encore and the Fort Worth Water Department help students build skills that industries want. Every school day hums with activity and empowerment at Young Men's Leadership Academy and Young Women's Leadership Academy. Future leaders are at work here, gaining knowledge, experiences, and character while developing lifelong strategies for success. Move toward your dreams at the IM Terrell Academy for STEM and VPA. On the STEM side, students design and problem solve in a high-tech makerspace. In VPA, students train in state-of-the-art studios and perform in a magnificent hall. And humanities classes at IM Terrell elevate the study of literature, history, art, and philosophy. Imagine learning multiple languages, exploring global cultures, and taking academic courses in English and Spanish. The World Languages Institute is perfect for students from Spanish immersion and dual language programs, and anyone eager to learn Spanish immersion style. Schools of choice are not just for older kids. Collectively, 4 applied learning academies serve kindergarten through 8th grade. Students apply their knowledge to solve real-life issues as they investigate the bigger world. Our Montessori program guides kindergarten through 8th grade students in multi-age classrooms that are safe and respectful. Students work through lessons, interact with others, cultivate self-discipline, and take early ownership of their education. A great start to a lifetime of learning. Learn more at fwisd.org/choices and pick your pathway to college, career, and lifelong achievement.
I'm a science nerd. I'm not very good at math, but I love science. I love learning and understanding why the body functions, why nature's the way it is, why the universe is the way it is, and astronomy, just everything. Just science kind of encompasses everything.
Favorite part of Fort Worth ISD is always the students, their parents, the amazing faculty that work with them, the principals, and then all of our employees. The club, Fort Worth ISD, is the place to be, and that's my favorite thing.
The best part of my district is the people. Just filled with phenomenal people, from the educators within the actual buildings of our district in the Dunbar Pyramid and the surrounding area, but the people, period. Those wonderful students, bright and beautiful and talented and intelligent, the community that supports them, their families. We have really great leaders on each campus. I mean, it really is the people. We have an embarrassment of riches of wonderful people.
I was invited to a couple of schools, and all the kids were in the cafeteria, and they all had big signs and posters up saying, "Thank you, we love you." And they wrote little personal notes. Or two of them, they were like actual quotes or something that I said at a board meeting. So it showed me the detail that they had gone through to not only just follow me, you're talking in board meetings, you're like, oh, whatever. But the fact that they took quotes from that and put that in on the poster board, it was priceless. I don't think I ever forget that.
As a new trustee member, I think the things that I want to share with people about me is that I care. I'm here because I want to make a difference for all kids in the school district and want to do what's right by them.
So I never ever thought I would run for public office. It was not on my radar. It was not something I aspired to do. And yet here I am. You know, when you see something and you read it and it resonates with you, and then all of a sudden you've never seen it before and it keeps popping up over and over and over again. Well, it was a Brené Brown quote, and I'm going to paraphrase the quote, but it said, at the end of my day, at the end of my week, at the end of my life, I want to be able to say that I contributed more than I complained. And seeing that in random places over and over again was what I needed to know that this was the right decision for me to run for school board.
For the last 12 years, what I've done more than anything else is that I'm the head of admissions for the United States Naval Academy for North Texas. So I work everything from DFW Airport to New Mexico and from the Panhandle down to Austin. And absolutely enjoy and love seeing the kids and talking to the ones that want to go. We have to interview them. I did probably 350 interviews in the last 12 years. Had 46 go to the academy. They're incredible young people that I'm happy to turn this country over to them anytime they want it.
I'm a family man. My wife and my two kids, Rafa and Anna, are the best part of my life. Rafa cares so much for his sister, and my wife's a loving, dedicated mother to our children. Without the support of my wife and my two kids, I will not be able to do what I do on the school board.
One of the ways that I stay connected to the community is by serving within the community. I have done that numerous ways, whether working with youth out of school through a youth organization or serving our community through my church and other civic organizations. I think there's no better way than being boots on the ground, working with the community. That's the place that you hear the community's needs and desires. But I really just enjoy being connected within the community.
It's just giving back to the community. I feel I received an excellent education. I had wonderful teachers attending Fort Worth ISD schools, and I just want all our students to have the same opportunities that I had. So I think it's rewarding just to have children read and learn and love learning and go on to their career, college, military.
I am a lifelong resident of East Fort Worth, and I graduated from Eastern Hills Elementary, Meadowbrook Middle School, and Eastern Hills High School, and I'm enthusiastic about the reconstruction of not only Eastern Hills High School, but Eastern Hills Elementary and Meadowbrook Middle School.
I stay connected to the community by being a part of the community. I mean, that's where my investment is. That's where I live. It's where I work. My entire life is invested in the east side of Fort Worth. Stop 6 is home for me. East side is home for me. So I'm with my people every day. So with all my activities, there is no disconnection because I've very purposely invested to make sure that I'm embedded in every aspect of our community. So I'm accessible, my people talk to me, and I try to make sure I'm representing them well in the boardroom.
I gotta tell a funny story. I was at a concert, and my son's an entertainer, and a lot of people will stop me. Oh my God, I know your son, blah, 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 blah. Well, this young girl stopped me and she said, oh, can I take a picture with you? Like, oh yeah, cool. So I'm thinking that she knew me because of my son. She said, oh my God, I love the work that you're doing on the board. It's so cool. She's like 20 years old, and I'm going, you need to find something else to do with your life instead of watching board meetings.
I think giving advice to students, I'll go back to what the valedictorian of my high school shared with us at our graduation. He said you basically have two choices to make. You can work hard now and have choices and play the rest of your life, or you can play now and have to work the rest of your life. And so what I would tell kids is work hard now so that they have choices and to oversee adversity.
District 6 is made up of a variety of very different communities. However, when I have an opportunity to be in those communities, the sense of community is rich and vibrant and robust. They take care of each other. They care for each other. They care about each other. It is just really inspiring to be able to gather with and commune with the different people in these neighborhoods and to see how they take care of each other.
Left Victoria to be head of fine arts for San Antonio, and Dr. Melody Johnson was superintendent in Fort Worth at the time, and she had called down there and talked to people about she needed to find a head of fine arts. And they told her that I was really good. I don't know if they wanted to get rid of me or I was doing that well down there, but ended up getting a job up here in Fort Worth ISD and did that for 6 years and retired.
I had dedicated teachers that cared so much about me, from INA, that INA used to be on this building, to Pasco High School, that helped me to become the person that I am.
My favorite part of being a school board trustee is getting to witness student achievement up close and personal. Fort Worth ISD has some incredibly talented students. I love learning about all the things our students are doing, both in and out of the classroom. I enjoy recognizing student accomplishments. It's one of the best parts of being a trustee is watching our students grow and realize their full potential.
I would like to be a board member because They have important meetings. They help build schools.
They help the school keep everyone safe, and they help the school make great choices.
They help the kids learn and everything and make it fun.
Drink coffee and just watch news.
Do you want to be a board member? Why not?
Because I have to spend day and night doing all this work.
My favorite part are the kids, the schools, the community all coming together.
We love our school board. How about you?
My favorite part of Fort Worth ISD, that's easy. It is definitely the kids.
What do you think a board member does?
I think he builds boards.
What do you think board members do when they're not working?
I like to exercise or ride my Peloton every day. Most importantly, I love being with my family.
If you're a board member, can you have a family?
Because how are you going to be bored without a mom or a dad?
Is a school board a family?
Yes.
Tell me why that is. Why do you think they are?
Because they all are important people.
I'm a husband, have 5 kids, all of them in Fort Worth ISD. Outside of this and work, spend a lot of time with family.
My son really likes to play soccer. Every weekend, we out there in the fields having fun, watching him.
Board members are cool. I love the school. I think they rule.
Do you think that board members listen to music?
I probably think they will listen to rap.
I think they would listen to K-pop.
My theme song right now is Texas by Big Extra Plug. Shout out to him for that. I'm also just now beginning to listen to October London, The Rebirth of Marvin.
Been traveling these wide roads.
Leon Bridges is one. He's one of my favorite singers. I don't know if it's the dad or actually I'm a fan, which I think I'm a fan of too. That's my therapy. I can go on my back deck and sit down and listen to music.
If they could only play one instrument, what instrument do you think the board members would play?
I think they'll play the trumpet.
I was a trumpet and euphonium player and tuba player, but I had to learn how to do everything on top of that to be able to be a band director.
What do you think they like best about being a board member?
As being a good person.
So I would say you're never too young to have an impact.
Well, Maddie, what do you think? You want to be a board member? You've kind of got to hear what they do a little bit. Do you want to be one? Why not?
Because we don't get money.
How much money do you think a board member makes?
I don't know. 100?
I think the board member gets paid by hugs and kisses.
Thank you, board member!
In accordance with the open meetings law, the board opened the meeting at 5:31 PM with a quorum present, recessed and reconvened open session, adjourned regular session, convened executive session, adjourned executive session, and now reconvened open session at 9:03 PM with a quorum present. We're up to consent agenda items. As board president, I am making the following statement in accordance with board policy BBFA local. This is a reminder to all board members of the legal conflict of interest requirements and disclosure requirements you may have for matters under consideration on the agenda for this meeting. If required by law, board members shall recuse themselves from all discussion and shall abstain from voting on any matter pertaining to such a disclosure. Trustees, we have been provided an opportunity prior to tonight's meeting to submit questions and receive responses concerning the consent agenda item and action agenda items. Are there additional questions or comments at this time specific to consent agenda items? Trustee Ryan.
Madam President, I'd like to move 10B1 and 10B3 to action agenda, please.
10B1 and 10B3?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. 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 Okay, so the consent agenda, and Trustee Dar is abstaining from 10C2B. Yes.
Yes, due to my employment with Education Service Center Region 11 and any potential conflict of interest that might be created by that employment, I recuse myself and abstain from any discussion or consideration of agenda item 10C2B.
Okay, thank you, Trustee Dar. And consent agenda items 10B1 and 10BC have been moved to action items. Do I have a motion accepting consent agenda? Trustee Jackson, do I have a second?
Can I second it and abstain?
Yeah. I second. Okay, any discussion?
To clarify, that's 10B1 and 10B3.
Yes. Yes. I'll take the second. Any discussion? Please move to voting. We're missing Trustee Bridges. Okay. Motion passes 6-4, 1 against, and that's it. Okay, now we'll move to action items. We'll move to items removed 10B1. Do I have a motion?
Madam President, I'd like to ask everybody to vote against BE local, and therefore, because it's also contained in the Board Operating Procedures Manual, to vote against that, I think that we need to have any board member by themselves ought to be able to present an item to be on an agenda, and we don't need to go to 3 people. We did that one time, a long time ago, when we had somebody that kept bringing up items to go on the agenda every meeting, and I haven't seen anybody do that since I've been on the board. So I think we can still get by with one person to request a subject be included on the agenda.
Are you making a substitute motion, or?
I think he's explaining why he's not voting for it.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so do I have a motion?
I move to remove 10 changes to BE local and the board operating procedure manual.
Okay, we have the motion for approving this item. Do I have a second? I'll second.
I'm sorry, can you clarify what we're moving?
Yes, let's just be clear. I understood, and please correct me, Dr. Ryan, is your motion to deny the passing of board policy BE local changes?
Yes, and remove that change also from the board operating procedure manual.
Okay.
Okay, do I have a second for that motion?
I'll second, but could we clarify one more time? We're voting on 10B1, approve the first reading. We're approving everything, Dr. Ryan, with the exception of BE local?
That's correct.
Is that correct? Okay, I'll second. Thank you.
Any discussion? We'll move to voting. Oh, Trustee Dar.
We're on, I'm really still not really clear what I'm voting on here.
10B1, just the BE local.
10B1 to approve the first readings of all that are listed absent or without BE local.
Okay, thank you.
And then are we going to vote on BE local separately, or is this for?
No, that's the motion.
Okay. Any discussion?
So we're completely removing BE local from consideration this evening?
That's the motion.
Or are we wanting to
That is the
take that one
motion.
separately?
That is the motion, and then if that motion prevails, that is what is happening with BE local tonight. If the motion does not prevail, then someone can make another motion.
Okay.
Okay.
Or someone could make a substitute motion. But just remember, when you do that, you have to vote to whether or not you're going to allow for that substitute motion, and then you have to vote on that motion to see whether or not it passes.
Okay. Would y'all like to move to voting on 10B1 minus BE local?
To be clear, voting yes is in support of the motion, correct?
Yes, sir.
Motion carries 5, 4, and 3 against. Okay, now we're moving to 10B3, approve revisions to Board Operating Procedures Manual. Do I have a motion?
Well, we'll go on, since we are not going to change BE local, that was changed in the operating procedures manual. And so that change needs to be eliminated from the operating procedures manual. So I don't know it needs to be updated.
So is that your motion?
May I have a comment?
Sure.
Trustee Dar.
I believe it said in the agenda that that would only be included in the operating procedures manual if it passed.
Okay.
So since it didn't, then that won't be in there. So what we're voting on is the operating procedures manual without that particular policy change, if I'm correct.
I think you are. That'd be fine.
I think you certainly clarified that, and that would be the motion now.
Okay.
Okay, do I have a motion?
So moved.
Trustee Ryan, second by Trustee Dar. Any discussion? Please move to voting. Okay, motion carries unanimously, 8-0. Okay, now we're moving on to Personnel, Executive Director of Talent Management. Do I have a motion for the personnel recommendation discussed in executive session? Do I have a motion? Dr. Ryan.
Oh.
No, we're at the.
So moved.
Trustee Dar, do I have a second?
Second.
We're at
Trustee Jackson.
11B1, correct?
Correct, we're at
All right, thank you.
11B1. Sorry. Okay, any discussion? Please move to voting. Okay, motion carries unanimously. Dr. Ramsey, would you like to introduce the new personnel?
Yes, thank you. We'd like to congratulate Emily Camarena, who is already in the district, who is moving up into her position, and so congratulations.
Thank you. Let's continue with action items. 11C, Administrative Services. 11C1, Discussion and Action to approve the 2024-25 Traditional, Intersessional, and Early College High School calendars. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Trustee Jackson, do I have a second? Trustee Ryan, any discussion? Please move to voting.
I just have a comment. Is there any way that we can share the proposed calendar up on the screen?
There's 4 proposed calendars.
But, I mean, can we see them up on the screen? I guess is what I'm asking. Mm-hmm.
Trustee Lynch, did you have any questions about the calendar
No,
that we could answer?
I just wanted it to be up there for public to see. Had a lot of questions and asked, so that was it.
Okay, please move to voting. Motion carries unanimously. Now on to 11C2, discussion.
May I ask a question?
Oh, Trustee Dar.
Dr. Ramsey, when will these calendars be posted online so that people have access to them?
We will be sending out our monthly board action update tomorrow, and so they will be included there, and then we can put them on the website as soon as tomorrow.
Can we also include them in the weekly update?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, now we're to 11C2, discussion and action to approve resolution to approve wage continuation payments for employees during emergency closures. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Trustee Ryan, seconded by Trustee Luebanos. Any discussion? Please move to voting. Dr. Ryan? Motion carries unanimously. Now on to 11D, Legal and District Records Management. 11D1, consider and take action to terminate the Chapter 21 probationary contract of Otis Clayton. Do I have a motion?
Yes, Madam President, I move to terminate the Chapter 21 probationary contract of Otis Clayton for good cause effective on this date.
Do I have a second? Trustee Martinez, any discussion? Please move to voting. Motion carries unanimously. Now we're on to 11E, operations. 11E1A, discussion and action to approve grounds maintenance services for athletic fields and at athletic facilities. Do I have a motion? Trustee Ryan, do I have a second? Trustee Jackson, any discussion? Please move to voting. Motion carries unanimously.
President Rodriguez, I just want to make sure that give the board the opportunity that if someone wanted to make a separate motion regarding BE changes, that can be done separately, because the motion was to approve without BE, but that does not prohibit another trustee to bring a motion regarding BE. I just wanted to be clear. That doesn't mean that the board has to take any action, but I would be remiss if I did not share that with the board.
Trustee Dar?
I will move to vote on the first reading of BE Local.
Second. Any discussion? Please move to voting.
Please clarify the motion.
Trustee Dar?
That a vote in favor of the motion would be to continue to a second reading at the next meeting. Is that correct? Would that be the proper clarification?
Yes, if it's on as a first reading, then you're asking for it to be approved as a first reading.
As a first reading, and then it would be on a future agenda as a second reading?
Yes, ma'am.
And this is 10B1 BE Local.
Because it was pulled out of the item.
All right, any discussion?
So a vote of yes would mean that we are approving BE Local go into the board operations
No,
procedure
going into
manual,
the second reading.
or going into the second reading, and eventually if it passed second reading, then it would.
Correct.
Thank you.
Please move to voting. Wait, we had the, okay. Okay, motion fails, 6-2. All right, the time is 9:19 PM and this meeting is adjourned.
It's 9:19 PM. Oh,